If you've ever played against a Dr. Mundo, then you've definitely asked yourself, what the hell is going on inside this player's brain? Well, today, that question will be answered, because I, a self-certified League of Legends neuroscientist, am here to reveal all 5 parts of the Dr. Mundo player's brain. And I assure you that all of this research is backed by a source.
My source is that I made it the up.
So without further ado, let's get started. The first part of the Mundo player's brain is known as the CC isn't real gland. You see, when new players join League of Legends, they really suck at dodging skill shots. And because of this, characters like Lux and Morgana are much more prevalent in the lower elos. But as players get better, they usually learn how to dodge skill shots. But what happens to the players that don't want to learn how to dodge skill shots and still climb? The answer is simple. They become Mundo players. Mundo's passive literally lets him ignore whatever stun hits him first. And since most characters only have one stun in their kit, he just completely ignores it. Mundo players aren't forced to think about anything, so they just walk right towards you. And suddenly an entire element of the game that everyone else has to worry about is just gone for the Mundo player. This is not comparable to Olaf, who has it on an ultimate, or Malzahar's, who can be easily removed. Mundo cannot be stunned the entire game, starting from level 1, until somebody wastes one on him. And most players will complain about this and say Mundo's broken, but Mundo players believe they're playing smarter, not harder. And just like Mundo himself, they believe they're geniuses, even though they're psychopaths. And at a certain point, they probably forget stuns are even a part of the game, because once his passive is removed, you'll never see them dodge skill shots after that. They literally don't know how. But in most cases, they can just believe that CC isn't real and get away with it. And now we'll move on to the second part of the Mundo player's brain. This one activates as soon as they buy Heartsteel. This is known as the Heartsteel Death Punch. Now for other Heartsteel builders like Sion, they're mostly just building it to scale up on health. And of course, the satisfying sound effect. And Mundo players love both of those things as well, but it also gives them the ability to one-shot people. Imagine you're a squishy ADC doing your best to try to shred through this massive tank in front of you. Now normally tanks are balanced around the fact that they're hard to kill but they don't do a lot of damage. But in Mundo's case, once he gets to you with a Heartsteel empowered E, you're gonna get one shot. Throw on a Titanic Hydra proc just for good measure. You could even add a Sundered Sky because why not? They'll do just about anything as long as the Heartsteel proc does about 1 billion damage. Because Dr. Mundo is a sadist in the lore, and so are the players who play him. And this is the way Riot wants it. Now, contrary to popular belief and what the Mundo players will tell you, they don't actually have a doctorate's degree. They're not very well educated, and they don't really know how the game works. So instead of getting their dopamine from winning the game, they can get their dopamine from one-shotting somebody, and walking away from it with 0 consequence. Because why play a squishy assassin that takes skill and effort, when you can play Dr. Mundo and have 9,000 health and do the same amount of damage? Maybe they are just smarter than all of us. But now we'll talk about the third part of their brain, which is closely related. This is the HP Hoarder Cortex, and its function is simple. Buy whatever items give you the most health possible. Mundo is a scaling character, and he needs a lot of health to be effective. But that's not just because he wants to be tanky. No, it's because his E passive gives him bonus AD scaling with his health. Now, since Mundo players don't know how to do math, I'll do it for them. They usually go Heartsteel and Warmogs as the first 2 items, which gives you about 2000 HP base. Factor in the Warmogs passive and the Heartsteel stacks, and that could easily be a lot more. That alone is going to give you about 60 bonus AD. Now what other items give a lot of health? Titanic Hydra gives you 600, and Overlord's Bloodmail gives you 550, plus turning extra bonus health into more AD. Now that's only 4 items, but you get the point. Throw in your choice of last item, then grab Grasp of Undying and Overgrowth for some extra health, and this will add up to about 130 bonus AD from your passive, and about 120 from Overlords. Oh, and all of this can increase by up to 50% when he ults. So yeah, Mundo players like building a lot of health, but they may not have even known why it's good. That's just what the game recommended. Makes you wonder why a character like Vladimir can't just build full health and do the same amount of damage Mundo can. But that would be too broken, right? And Mundo definitely isn't broken. And now is the part of the video where I shamelessly ask you to like the video and subscribe. We need to spread the word and fund our studies for every League of Legends champion. Let me know in the comments who we should study next. And also keep an eye out for the polls on my channel. You'll be able to vote for who we study next based on who gets recommended the most in the comments. But without further ado, this is the 4th part of the Mundo player brain. And this is probably the one you've been waiting for. This region is named after its function. Push, push, push. Now believe it or not all Mundo players are brain dead. Shocking, I know, but some of them are actually very fine, distinguished gentlemen. These, of course, are the corporate Mundos, and they all rally behind one song. The song is actually called Satisfaction, but to Mundo players, it will always be called Push, Push, Push. Now, when you're a child and your parents are potty training you, they might find a cute little song from YouTube to encourage you to use the potty. This song is the equivalent to Mundo players for teaching them how to use macro. When Mundo players hear this song, they drop everything they're doing and go push a turret. And for whatever reason, it's always the corporate Mundos who respond to this. It brings a sense of peace and belonging to their soul, something they've likely never felt before. And for the very first time, they feel like they're doing something right when it comes to macro. And with how big their health bar is, they one-shot turrets just as easily as they one-shot players. Just need that little bit of extra help from the demolish proc. And for as long as the song is still playing, they will keep doing this, and you won't find them anywhere else on the map. And if they decided to play the 1 hour edit, then you're not going to see your Mundo for the rest of the game. And now after all of that, they're finally able to activate the last region of their brain. This is the I'm the Juggernaut lobe. This region activates when they finally achieve late game status. They know they're strong, but that isn't enough. Now they need to show everyone how strong they are. This is the part of the brain that possesses them to walk headfirst into the enemy team on Elder Dragon, without their team. And they'll probably last a lot longer than they should. And despite losing the fight and throwing the game for their team, they did what they came to do. They walked in and asserted their dominance and showed off how much damage they can take and probably killed someone in the process and died. But their power fantasy was met, so they'll queue right back up and do it again in the next game. And sometimes it will work, and they'll be way too strong for the enemy team to kill. Probably because they forgot to buy anti-heal. But then the Mundo player will march down mid lane for their team and take every tower shot and show off just how tanky they are one last time. Because Mundo players want to be recognized as the tank and the carry. And even though you had to carry him through the early game, the spotlight is now on the Mundo. And now it's time for them to dance and flex their muscles under the Nexus turrets. And then as the game is ending, they'll walk into the enemy fountain and take a bunch of shots just to show that they can. And that is the Dr. Mundo player experience. And that concludes the study of the Dr. Mundo player's brain. So the next time you see a Mundo player disappear into the side lane for exactly 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll know why. Comment below which champion we should study next, and subscribe for more knowledge.